All right, I am in a rush today, like ridiculously. So here's the deal. I've got to do a cooking thing for you guys, and then I took on an extra job of helping clear the leaves over at the daycare next door. I've got to do that, and then a friend is coming over at 3 o'clock. So it is, let's have a look here, quarter to one almost. I've got 2 hours to do the cooking and the cleaning before my guest arrives. Let's see how I do. And we're back in the kitchen. All right, so I did some of the prep before the start of the video. Essentially, just chopping the onions and measuring the ground beef. Because when I do cooking, especially a recipe I've never done before, I kind of want to stick as close as I can to the real recipe. I am not good enough at this to start improvising. I'm just not. All right, so the first thing it called for was to chop up some onions. Now it said a small onion, so I got one about this size. Chopped it up nice. It's in here now, waiting until I can use it. And I'm heating up both the hot water and the skillet right now where I'm going to have to brown the meat. The meat for today is 1.5 pounds of ground beef. So we're going to brown it exactly the same way as last time. Just keep it moving, keep changing what surfaces are touching. It'll get there, it'll get there. The recipe also says to brown it with the onions. So I've got the onions here. In fact, I might put them on first, that way I can sort of tell when it's ready, because I'll be able to hear that. Yeah, I'll be able to hear that sizzling. So that means the pan is ready. We're going to drop our ground beef in there. Put that in the sink. All right. Hopefully you can already hear the meat sizzling away. Now it came in these great big chunks, so I've got to break it up quite a bit, otherwise only the outer edge will get cooked. It's good that I have this rather large pan right now with the high walls, because nothing comes out and it gives me the space I need to spread everything out. And I do want that broken up as much as possible so this doesn't turn into chunks. Now if you hear the meowing throughout this video, Kenji right now is playing around at my feet because he smells a combination of meat and for some reason onions he really seems to get into it. So while that's going, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the recipe. It calls for what it said, rigatoni or large tube noodles. I found this at my grocery store and I think that's exactly what it's looking for. So we're going to throw that in here. The water is almost boiling. It'll be ready in just a second anyway, so we're good to go. Now, with a lot of slow cooker recipes, they don't require you to have things done in advance. This one, though, does call for the browning of the meat and the vegetables and stuff, and the onions, before you put it in the slow cooker. Like I said, I am not good enough at this to start experimenting, so I'm going to do exactly what the recipe calls for. Keep breaking that up. So while I was grocery shopping for this today, I was thinking a bit about why I never learned to cook the first time. People always said, you can save a lot of money by cooking, you get better food. I'm not finding that's actually true. Because, you go to the grocery store and you buy, say, a tortilla pie. That's one of my favorite things. You buy a tortilla pie, they'll charge you like $10. But the ground beef that's in there, if I tried to buy it myself, costs like $12. I don't know if they're like using lower grade beef or if they're, I don't know, they just have massive amounts so they get a special deal. But it kind of seems like these days it's cheaper to not cook. And this recipe may be the perfect example. It looked great and it looked simple, so I want to try it. But I went to the grocery store today buying only the stuff for this recipe. And it cost me $40. $40. Now, the recipe says it serves quite a few, but I don't know that it serves enough to make up for $40. We'll have to see when it's done. What I might do, actually, is start looking into inexpensive recipes. Maybe I can investigate that. Since one of my things is to lose money and to be healthy, cooking makes sense. But maybe I have to investigate how to cook sort of inexpensively. Like the onions for this cost next to nothing, but the ground beef was really, really expensive. So that might be a place to cut some corners. Maybe put more vegetables in and less beef. And let that brown some more. Turn down my boiling water so it doesn't overdo itself. And stir that a bit here. Now this is my slow cooker. If any of you aren't familiar, it's a fairly large one. It's not tiny by any means. My mother's is actually, see, she made me some food recently and sent it over in this. It's actually a lot smaller. Hers would fit right inside mine. And for a recipe like the one I'm doing right now, you're probably going to need a big one. Now, we're almost ready over here, but I want to talk a bit about things that were in the recipe that I wasn't quite prepared for. Like, it called for 2 cans, 15 ounces each of pizza sauce. At my grocery store, the pizza sauce comes in containers like this. Thankfully, I was paying attention this time. I'm not always when I do recipes, but I was paying attention this time. And I noticed that it says, 7.5 ounces. So it wasn't 2 cans I needed, it was 4. That's a bit much, but hey. Another thing it called for was the cream of mushroom soup here. 1 can, it says 10 3/4 ounces. Now, this is only 10 ounces. I gotta say, I'm gonna go with that. That's close enough. Because I mean, it's not even calling for 11 ounces, it's calling for 10 3/4. That's probably what sticks to the inside of the can when you empty it anyway. Alright, our ground beef is basically done here. Now, you may notice when you're looking at the pot, or the crock pot, that it's got this plastic crap on it. It's a very simple reason for that. I found this recently at the dollar store. Here's the box. And it's called a slow cooker liner. I've never used one before, but I'm going to try one now. Because for me, the hardest part about using a slow cooker actually is cleaning up afterwards. Now, supposedly this will not melt and ruin my crock pot. Since it's what it's meant for, I'm inclined to believe it. But we shall see, won't we? Anyway, the recipe says when the noodles are done, I should put them in first. So let's have a look here. Now I know if I'm making macaroni and cheese, that cooks fairly quickly. I usually go by how soft the noodles are to determine whether or not they're done. This is very hot to the touch, but it's flexible. So I'm going to say, yeah, that's done. So we're going to empty those in first. Alright, so I already drained it, and now I just need to put it in my slow cooker. And yeah, that's already taking up a lot of room. So definitely if you had a smaller slow cooker, excuse the steam, you'd be up a creek on this one. Alright, next, it says to stir in the beef when it's brown. And it is nice and brown now. I'm going to give it another stir here just to make sure. Let me see every side of it. But again, according to some research I did, it doesn't actually matter if I cook it all the way through at this stage, because it's got a lot of time in the slow cooker ahead of it, so it'll get cooked through then anyway. So we're turn off the stove, everything's turned off, and let's dump her on in there. Alright. There we go. I'm going to let that cool down a bit before I stick it in my sink, but let's mix this around. Now, so far, I gotta say, it's not looking like anything special to me. That being said, I haven't even told you guys what the recipe is yet. I'm going to include the recipe in the link below and explain what this is as I go along, alright? Now, that's nice and mixed in. Next it says pizza sauce, soup, and pepperoni need to get put in there. Okay, pizza sauce. Remember, that was 4 cans of this. 1. All right, let's use a spoon to get as much as we can out of there. I have a feeling substance is going to be important with this one. I'm going to want it to serve a lot of meals because, quite frankly, $40, maybe one trip to a restaurant for some people, but when you're talking cooking at home, you want that to be like 10 meals maybe, I would hope. All right, more spaghetti sauce, or not spaghetti sauce, but pizza sauce. Now, for this recipe, I also chose hot and spicy pizza sauce because, hey, if something isn't spicy, to me, it's a waste of food. All right, there's our last can of pizza sauce, 4 cans in there. Remember, these are the small cans. If you can find bigger cans, all power to you. Just make sure you're checking your measurements as you go. You don't want to end up with something completely inedible here. I'm going to stir this around a bit. Got to make sure you're pulling up the bottom all the time too. Otherwise, you end up with like a layer of unmixed nonsense down at the bottom. All right. At this point, to me, it kind of looks like beefaroni. And honestly, it does. But there's more to come. Our next ingredient was the mushroom soup. This is where it drastically changes from beefaroni. I don't know about you, but I probably wouldn't put that in beefaroni. Maybe I should. I know I was looking at a tuna noodle casserole that used it. Stir that around. All right. Nice and mixed. Get it all even if you can. 1 spoon so far is all I've had to use. 1 spoon and 1... Well, I lost that word. Maybe it'll come to me later. The cheese. All right, this is going to take some measuring because the recipe calls for 4 cups of mozzarella. I did not have a 4-cup size. I bought essentially 8 cups. So you may have noticed that I'm using pizza sauce, pizza mozzarella, and I think by now the cat is out of the bag, at least to a degree, as to what this is. According to the recipe, this is called slow cooker pizza casserole. To me, that was too good of a description to pass up. I had to give this a shot. So, let's get my measuring cup out here. 4 cups. So we're going to fill this thing 2 times. For those of you who didn't take home ec, just a reminder that when you're filling something, you don't fill it to the top, you fill it to the measurement mark. So it says here 2 cups, that's about where you want it to be. Not up on top and heaped over. It's like with our measuring spoon last time. Okay? It's not actually measuring anything if you're not following the lines. Let's stir that in a bit. That's half of our cheese. I can tell this is going to be very cheesy, for which I couldn't be happier. All right, and another 2 cups of cheese. There we go. And we're going to stir that in. Starting to look good, starting to look like something special here. Well, like I said, this is pizza, so it's got one more ingredient that is simply a must-have, and that is pepperoni. All right, because you got to know, if I'm doing a pizza, it's not a vegetarian one. All right, let's break that up a bit. Make sure it gets all stirred in here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, that one's for me. Now, the recipe calls for this pepperoni, but I think, I mean, anything you wanted to put in it would be great. Maybe next time I make it, I put in like some feta cheese or something, or bacon crumble, something to make it a little unique. And also, you put like green peppers in here, like I was talking about earlier. If you want to make something cheaper, often the way to go is to add vegetables, because vegetables, for their weight, seem to be a lot cheaper than things like meat. All right, let's get it all mixed in. Oh, this is getting heavy and deep. I'm gonna have to switch to using this for a bit. All right. Oh my goodness. It's actually bending my spatula, that's the word. It's bending my spatula as I go here. Oh, goodness. But it is all getting mixed together. Going right down to the bottom and pulling it up every time helps with that. Make sure the bottom's on the top's all mixed together. Boom. All right, don't waste this food. This was expensive. All right. Put that down. And now I'm going to take a look at the recipe. Always double check things. So, drain pasta, done. Place in 5-quart slow cooker. I think this is a lot more than that actually. Stir in the beef mixture, done. Cheese, done. Pizza sauce, done. Soup, done. Pepperoni, done. Cover and cook on low for 2 to 3 hours. Okay. And now I can't find the lid. Woohoo! All right, low for 2 to 3 hours. So, while that's cooking, I'm going to go take care of that second job I picked up, and we'll see how it goes. All right, I got the cleaning done. I got the cooking done. Let's see now. It is, it's been 3 hours. So let's have a look here and see what we produced. Oh, that's beautiful. Take a look at that. Now, according to the page that was advertising this, they said a serving is about 1 cup. So, yeah. 1 cup. This is 1 serving. I don't know. Let's have a look and see if this is worthwhile. All right, 1 serving, folks. This is tonight's dinner. I'll let you know how it is. All right, so Kenji is very curious about this. This is 1 cup. Stop that. 1 cup of the slow cooker pizza casserole, which according to he's really into this. All right, according to the website, is about 329 calories. So, you know, you can afford to have more than 1 serving of this, but back off, mine. That's really good. But seriously, it's mine. No. No. Anyway, I got everything done. I did the cleaning for the parking lot, the leaves. I got my food cooked and it's starting to already be eaten. I'm going to call this a productive day. Thanks for stopping by.